I buried my daughter 8 years ago. Well, not buried exactly. There was no body. Just a memorial service with an empty casket and a framed photo of Rachel in her wedding dress, the one she never got to wear down the aisle. She vanished on June 18th, 2016, the morning of her wedding day, from a resort in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. One moment she was there, getting her hair done with her bridesmaids. The next, she was gone. Last night, Christmas Eve, someone knocked on my door at 7 o'clock. When I opened it, a woman stood there in the snow with a little girl holding her hand. The woman looked at me with tears in her eyes and said 3 words I never thought I'd hear again. "Mom, it's me. I'm Margaret Foster. I'm 63 years old, and until yesterday, I thought I knew what grief was. I thought I understood loss. My daughter Rachel disappeared when she was 27. The police investigated for 2 years. They questioned her fiancé, Michael Torrance. So many times his family hired a lawyer. They searched the resort, the beaches, the surrounding areas. They checked every hospital, every morgue, every Jane Doe from Baja California to the Texas border. Nothing, not a trace, not a single lead that went anywhere. After 2 years, they declared her legally dead. Presumed drowned, they said, though they never found a body. I stopped believing that story about 6 months in because Rachel was a strong swimmer. She'd been on the swim team in high school. But what was I supposed to think? That she just left? That she abandoned her wedding, her family, her entire life? My husband Tom died 3 years after Rachel disappeared. The doctors said it was a heart attack, but I knew better. It was grief. He died of a broken heart, of the weight of not knowing what happened to our only child. I've been alone in our house in Portland ever since. The house where Rachel grew up, where we hung her baby pictures and her high school diploma and the engagement photo she took with Michael 6 months before the wedding. I kept her room exactly the way she left it. Every year on her birthday, I'd buy a cake and sit alone at the kitchen table, singing happy birthday to an empty chair. People told me I needed to move on, to accept that she was gone. But how do you move on when there's no body? How do you accept death without proof? Christmas Eve yesterday, I'd just finished wrapping presents for the children's shelter downtown. I do it every year now, since I don't have any grandchildren to shop for. The doorbell rang at exactly 7 o'clock. I almost didn't answer. It was snowing hard, and I wasn't expecting anyone. My neighbor Carol was at her son's house in Seattle. The mail doesn't come on Christmas Eve, but something made me go to the door. Maybe it was the same instinct that used to wake me up when Rachel had nightmares as a child. I opened the door, and there she was. At first, I didn't recognize her. The woman standing on my porch looked older than 35, weathered in a way that comes from hard living. Her dark hair was shorter, streaked with gray at the temples. She wore a worn winter coat and held the hand of a little girl, maybe 6 years old, with the same dark eyes Rachel had. "Can I help you?" I asked, thinking they were carolers or maybe someone whose car had broken down in the snow. The woman's face crumpled. "Mom," she said, her voice breaking. "Mom, it's me. It's Rachel." I grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. My vision went spotty. For a moment, I thought I was having a stroke, that my brain had finally broken from years of grief and was showing me what I wanted to see. "That's not funny," I said, my voice harsh. "Whoever you are, that's a sick joke." "It's not a joke," she said. She took a step closer, and the porch light fell across her face. I saw it then, the small scar above her left eyebrow from when she fell off her bike when she was 9. The way she bit her lower lip when she was nervous, exactly like she used to. I know this is impossible. I know I should be dead, but I'm not. I'm here, and I can explain everything. My legs gave out. I sat down hard on the floor, right there in the entryway. The little girl looked scared and started to cry. Rachel, if it was Rachel, knelt down beside me. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry. I know this is a shock. I know I should have called first, but I didn't know how to explain over the phone. Please, Mom, please let me explain." I looked at her face, really looked. The eyes were Rachel's eyes. The voice, underneath the tremor and the years, was Rachel's voice. "You have a scar," I heard myself say, "above your left eyebrow, from when you were 9. She touched the spot automatically. I fell off my bike trying to beat Danny Peterson in a race down Hawthorne Boulevard. You took me to the ER. They gave me 3 stitches, and you bought me ice cream after, even though I'd been told not to race on that street. Nobody knew that story. I'd never told anyone the details. It was just a small moment between a mother and daughter, lost in the thousands of other small moments we'd shared. Come inside," I said. My voice didn't sound like my own. Get out of the cold. Rachel helped me up. We went into the living room, the same living room where we'd addressed her wedding invitations 8 years ago. She sat on the couch with the little girl in her lap. I sat across from them in Tom's old chair, the one I'd never been able to give away. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. "This is Lily," Rachel said quietly, stroking the child's hair. "She's 6. She's my daughter. Your granddaughter." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. A granddaughter. Rachel had a child, and I'd never known. I'd missed 6 years of this little girl's life. "Where have you been?" I asked. My hands were shaking. 8 years, Rachel. 8 years I thought you were dead. Your father died thinking you were dead. Where the hell have you been? Rachel's eyes filled with tears. "Montana," she said. "A small town called White Sulphur Springs, population 939. I've been living under a different name, Sarah Rodriguez. Lily was born there 3 years after I left." "Why?" The word came out as barely a whisper. "Why would you do this? Why would you let us think you were dead?" She set Lily down gently. "Sweetheart, can you go look at the Christmas tree in the corner? See if you can count all the ornaments?" When Lily moved away, Rachel turned back to me. Her face was older, harder than I remembered. "I left because I had to. Because if I'd married Michael Torrance, one of us would have ended up dead. And I was pretty sure it was going to be me." I felt cold all over. "What are you talking about?" "Michael wasn't who I thought he was," Rachel said. She was twisting her hands together in her lap, the way she used to when she had to tell me she'd failed a test or broken something valuable. "I found out 2 weeks before the wedding. I found out what he really did for a living, and I found out what kind of man he really was." "He was a financial analyst," I said. "He worked for that firm downtown." "That's what I thought too. That's what everyone thought." Rachel leaned forward. "The night before we flew to Cabo, I couldn't sleep. Michael was at his bachelor party. I was at our apartment, packing the last few things, and I noticed his laptop was still open. He'd been in a hurry when he left, and he forgot to close it. I wasn't trying to snoop, Mom, I swear I wasn't. But there was an email open on the screen, and I saw my name." She took a shaky breath. The email was from someone named Carlos. It said, "Once you marry the girl, her mother's house becomes jointly owned property, correct? And the mother has that life insurance policy through the school district. Make it look accidental. We need the Portland property for the new distribution route. Mom, they were planning to kill you. After the wedding, they were going to stage an accident and kill you so Michael could inherit your house." I couldn't breathe. "That's insane. Michael was a nice boy. He came to Sunday dinners. He helped your father fix the deck." "I thought so too," Rachel said. "But I kept reading. I went through his emails, his files. Michael was laundering money for a drug cartel out of Mexico. The financial analyst job was real, but it was a front. He was moving millions of dollars, and he needed legitimate assets to hide it in. That's why he wanted to marry me. My inheritance from Grandma Foster. Your house. Dad's life insurance." She wiped her eyes. There were other emails about what they'd do if I found out, if I tried to leave. They'd kill me, and they'd kill you too. There were photos, Mom. Photos of you. At the grocery store. At your book club. They'd been watching you for months. "Why didn't you go to the police?" I asked. But even as I said it, I knew why. Because Michael's partner Carlos? He's a cop. Portland PD. I saw emails between them. Carlos was on the cartel payroll, and he had other cops working with him. If I went to the police, I'd be telling the wrong people. And even if I found the right cops, what proof did I have? Screenshots of emails that Michael would say I faked? No one would believe me. It was my word against a respected financial analyst and a decorated police officer. So you ran, I said. I ran, she confirmed. The morning of the wedding, I told my bridesmaids I was going for a walk on the beach to clear my head. Instead, I took everything I'd hidden in my suitcase. Cash I'd been withdrawing for weeks, my passport, a burner phone, and I walked straight to the bus station in San Jose del Cabo. I took a bus to Tijuana, crossed the border with a group of tourists, and disappeared. You let me think you drowned, I said. The anger was starting to cut through the shock. You let me plan a memorial service. You let your father die thinking our daughter was gone. I know. Rachel was crying now, really crying. Mom, I know. It destroyed me. Every day for 8 years I've lived with what I did to you. But if I'd told you the truth, if I'd said goodbye, you would have come looking for me. Or Michael would have known I left on purpose, and he would have come after you anyway, to punish me. The only way to keep you safe was to make everyone believe I was dead. Your father, I said. My voice broke. Tom died 3 years after you disappeared. His heart gave out. Rachel made a sound like a wounded animal. I know. I found out when it happened. I've been checking the Oregon obituaries online every week for years. When I saw Dad's name, I almost came back. I almost broke and came home for the funeral. But Michael was still alive. The danger was still there. What changed? I asked. Why now? Why come back after 8 years? Michael died, Rachel said simply. 3 months ago. Car accident on Highway 26. Lost control in the rain, went off an embankment. I saw it in the news, and I started digging, started checking. I found out that Carlos, his partner, died 2 years ago. Heart attack. The cartel operation got busted last year. Everyone involved either went to prison or fled to Mexico. I spent 3 months making sure, absolutely sure, that it was safe to come home. She looked at me with Tom's eyes. Rachel had always had her father's eyes. I know I don't have the right to ask for your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. But Lily deserves to know her grandmother. And I needed you to know that I didn't leave because I didn't love you. I left because I loved you too much to let them kill you. I sat there in Tom's chair, looking at my daughter who'd come back from the dead, and I didn't know what to feel. Relief that she was alive? Rage that she'd let us suffer? Grief for the 8 years we'd lost? All of it crashed over me at once. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said honestly. I know, Rachel said. I don't expect you to. I just needed you to know the truth. Lily came back over, clutching one of the ornaments from the tree. Grandma, is this you? She held up a small framed photo ornament. It was Rachel at age 6, the same age Lily was now. The resemblance was striking. That's my mommy, Lily said. But she's little like me. I looked at this child, this granddaughter I'd never known existed. She had Rachel's smile, Tom's eyes, my mother's nose, 3 generations written in one small face. Yes, sweetheart, I said. That's your mommy when she was your age. Did you hang it on the tree? I hang it on the tree every year, I said. I hang all the pictures of your mommy. Lily looked up at Rachel. Can we stay here? I like this house. It smells like Christmas. Rachel met my eyes over Lily's head. The question was there, unspoken. I thought about Tom, about how he died without knowing his daughter was alive. I thought about 8 years of grief, of an empty chair at every holiday, of birthday cakes eaten alone. I thought about the memorial service where we'd mourned an empty casket, but I also thought about the fear Rachel must have lived with, the sacrifice she'd made to keep me safe. I thought about this little girl who'd never done anything wrong, who deserved to know her family. You can stay tonight, I said finally. It's Christmas Eve. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. Rachel started crying again. Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Don't thank me yet, I said. We have a lot to talk about. A lot to work through. This doesn't make everything okay. I know, she said, but it's a start. That night, I gave them Rachel's old room. Lily fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from the journey. Rachel and I sat up in the kitchen, drinking the coffee I'd made. The same kitchen where we used to have breakfast before school, where she'd told me she was engaged to Michael, where I'd cried alone after she disappeared. Tell me about Montana, I said. Tell me about the last 8 years. So she did. She told me about arriving in White Sulphur Springs with nothing but a backpack and a fake ID she'd bought in Tijuana, about getting a job as a waitress at a truck stop diner under the name Sarah Rodriguez, about renting a tiny studio apartment above a hardware store, about the loneliness, the constant fear of being found, the nightmares where Michael would appear at her door. She told me about meeting a man named James, a truck driver who came through town regularly, how they'd fallen in love slowly, carefully, because Rachel was terrified of trusting anyone, how she'd eventually told him the truth, and instead of running, he'd helped her. He'd proposed with a twist tie from a bread bag because they couldn't risk a real wedding, couldn't file a marriage license that might flag her real identity. We had Lily 3 years after I got there, Rachel said. James delivered her himself in our apartment because I couldn't risk going to a hospital with my fake ID. She's not legally registered anywhere. No birth certificate, no social security number. I know I need to fix that now. Where's James? I asked. He died 2 years ago, Rachel said quietly. Truck accident. Black ice outside of Billings. He was a good man, Mom. You would have liked him. He knew I couldn't be his wife legally, knew our daughter couldn't have his name, and he loved us anyway. More loss, more grief. My daughter had lived an entire life I knew nothing about. She'd fallen in love, had a child, lost a partner, all while I thought she was dead. Why didn't you come back after James died? Michael was still alive, she said, and I had Lily to protect. I couldn't risk it. The police, I said. We need to go to the police. Not Portland PD, but the FBI maybe. You filed a false missing person report by disappearing. There are going to be legal consequences. I know, Rachel said. I've been talking to a lawyer in Montana, a woman who works with domestic violence victims who've gone underground. She's been helping me prepare. Once I came back, once I told you everything, I was going to turn myself in, face whatever charges come. But I needed to see you first. I needed you to know why. Michael's family, I said. His mother. She died, thinking her son was a murderer. The police questioned him so aggressively. His name was in the papers. Rachel's face crumpled. I know. I read about it. Mrs. Torrance had a stroke 6 months after I disappeared. The stress, the accusations. She died a year later. I carry that with me every day, Mom. The knowledge that good people got hurt because of my choice. But if I'd stayed, we'd both be dead. You'd be dead. What was I supposed to do? I didn't have an answer. In her position, knowing what she knew, would I have done anything different? Would I have sacrificed my mother's life to avoid hurting innocent people? I didn't know. Show me the proof, I said. The emails, the files. You must have kept something. Rachel pulled out a small USB drive from her pocket. I copied everything that night before I left. Every email, every document, every photo. I've been carrying this for 8 years. Too terrified to use it, but too scared to throw it away. I got my laptop, and we spent the next 2 hours going through the files. It was all there, just as Rachel had said. Emails between Michael Torrance and Carlos Reyes, a detective in Portland PD. Money transfers, plans for distribution routes. And there, buried in a folder marked insurance, were surveillance photos of me at the grocery store, getting my mail, leaving book club at the library. They'd been watching me, planning, waiting, and there were the messages about Rachel. If she finds out, we handle it in Cabo. Make it look like she drowned. Lots of tourists drown in Cabo, No one asks questions. My blood ran cold reading it. Rachel had been telling the truth. Michael had been planning to kill her if she discovered his secret. And after the wedding, once he had legal access to our family assets, he'd been planning to kill me too. "We go to the FBI tomorrow," I said. "First thing after Christmas. This is evidence. This is proof that Michael Torrance was working with a drug cartel and a corrupt cop. Most of the people involved are dead or in prison," Rachel said. "But yes, I want to cooperate. I want to make sure that if there's anyone left, they face justice." "It means your name will be in the news again," I said. "Rachel Foster, presumed dead for 8 years, returns. Are you ready for that?" "I don't think I'll ever be ready," she said. "But I can't keep hiding. Lily deserves a real life. She deserves to go to school, to have friends, to exist in the world. And I need to clear Michael's family's name. I need people to know he really was guilty of something, even if they can't know everything." We talked until 3 in the morning. I asked questions, and Rachel answered them all, about the bus ride to Tijuana, about the first terrifying months in Montana, about James, about Lily's birth, about the constant fear, about checking obituaries every week to make sure I was still alive, about the times she almost broke, almost called, almost came home. "The hardest day was your 60th birthday," she said. "I knew you'd be alone. Dad was gone. I was gone. And I wanted so badly to call you and sing happy birthday, but I couldn't risk it. I ate an entire birthday cake by myself that day," I admitted. "Chocolate with vanilla frosting. Your favorite." "It's still my favorite," she said with a sad smile. Christmas morning, Lily woke up excited. She'd never had a real Christmas, Rachel told me quietly. They'd been too poor in Montana, and celebrating would have drawn attention, would have created memories that might make Lily accidentally reveal where they were living. I watched my granddaughter's face light up as I brought out the presents I'd bought for the shelter kids. I let her open them all. A doll, a coloring book, a winter coat that fit her perfectly by pure luck. "Santa came to Grandma's house," Lily exclaimed. "Mommy, Santa found us." Rachel met my eyes over Lily's head, and we both started crying. "Yeah, baby," Rachel said. "He found us." We made breakfast together. Pancakes with blueberries, the same ones I used to make for Rachel every Sunday, Rachel remembered. I could see it in her face, the way her hands moved automatically to crack the eggs, the way she tested the griddle temperature with a drop of water. "You used to make these," she said softly. "Every Sunday morning," I confirmed. "You'd eat 6 of them if I let you." "I tried to make them in Montana," she said, "but I could never get them to taste right. I couldn't remember if you used milk or buttermilk." "Buttermilk," I said. "Always buttermilk." After breakfast, Rachel called her lawyer in Montana. They talked for a long time about next steps, about turning herself in, about how to handle the situation with Lily's lack of legal documentation. I held my granddaughter in my lap and listened to Rachel navigate the mess she'd made, trying to clean it up. That afternoon, we called the FBI. Rachel explained who she was, said she had information about a corrupt Portland police officer and a drug cartel operation. They took down her information and told her someone would contact her after the holiday. 3 days later, 2 FBI agents showed up at my door. Rachel gave them everything. The USB drive, her statement, details about everyone involved. They told her there would be an investigation, that she'd likely face charges for filing a false missing person report and for identity fraud. But they also said that given the circumstances, given the credible threat to her life, they'd recommend leniency. "You're a victim here," one of the agents said. "You were protecting yourself and your mother from a credible threat." The story hit the news 2 weeks later. Missing bride returns after 8 years, reveals fiancé's criminal ties. The phones started ringing immediately. Reporters wanted interviews. Old friends called crying. Michael's family released a statement saying they hoped Rachel would face prosecution for the damage she'd done to their family's reputation. I couldn't blame them. From their perspective, Rachel had destroyed their son's name and then disappeared. leaving them to live with the accusation of murder. The FBI investigation confirmed Rachel's evidence. Carlos Reyes had been corrupt, and several other officers were implicated in the money laundering scheme. Michael's financial records, once they were fully examined, showed millions in illegal transactions. It didn't make what Rachel had done right, but it proved she'd been telling the truth. 3 months later, Rachel stood in front of a judge. She pleaded guilty to filing a false police report and identity fraud. The prosecutor asked for probation, citing the extenuating circumstances. Michael's family asked for prison time. The judge listened to both sides, read the evidence, and then looked at Rachel. "Miss Foster," he said, "what you did caused significant pain and wasted law enforcement resources. However, I'm convinced that you genuinely believed your life and your mother's life were in danger. I'm sentencing you to 5 years of supervised probation and 500 hours of community service. I'm also recommending that you work with a therapist to process the trauma you've experienced." Rachel cried with relief. Lily, who'd been sitting next to me in the courtroom, asked why Mommy was crying. "Because we get to stay with Grandma," I told her. "We all get to stay together." That was 6 months ago. Rachel lives with me now, in her old room with Lily. She got a job at a bookstore downtown, something quiet where she doesn't have to look over her shoulder constantly. Lily started first grade, finally legally enrolled in school with a birth certificate that took 3 months and a DNA test to establish. She's smart, curious, and has my mother's stubborn streak. She asks a million questions and wants to know everything. Rachel is in therapy twice a week, working through the trauma of the last 8 years. She has nightmares sometimes, wakes up convinced that Michael is at the door or that someone is watching the house. But they're getting less frequent. Last week she laughed at something Lily said, really laughed, and for a moment I saw the girl she used to be before all of this. People ask me if I've forgiven her. The truth is, I don't know. I'm still angry about the years we lost. I'm still heartbroken that Tom died without knowing his daughter was alive. I'm furious that she made me bury an empty casket and mourn a ghost. But I also understand why she did it. I've read the emails, seen the surveillance photos of myself. I know that if Rachel had stayed, if she'd married Michael, I'd probably be dead. She sacrificed everything to keep me safe. She lived 8 years in hiding, in poverty, in fear, so that I could live. How do you stay angry at someone for that? Last Sunday we made pancakes together. Lily wanted to help, so we let her pour the blueberries into the batter. She got them everywhere, all over the counter, half on the floor. Rachel and I looked at each other and laughed. "You used to do the exact same thing," I told Rachel. "Every single Sunday, blueberries everywhere." "I remember," Rachel said quietly. And I think she really did. The memories are coming back slowly. Small things, mostly. The way the house smells in summer, the sound of Tom's laugh, the feeling of being safe, of being home. We're not the same people we were 8 years ago. I'm older, more cautious, carrying grief that never fully goes away. Rachel is harder, more wary, scarred by years of running. And Lily is the future, the part of our family that gets to grow up without fear. But we're together. Against all odds, through everything, we found our way back to each other. Michael's mother never got closure. That haunts Rachel, keeps her up some nights. She wrote a letter to the Torrance family explaining everything, apologizing for the pain she caused, but they never responded. I don't blame them. Some wounds don't heal. Some losses can't be forgiven. I understand that better than most. Sometimes I think about the parallel lives we could have lived. The one where Rachel trusted me with the truth, where we went to the FBI together, where Tom lived to meet his granddaughter. But that's not the life we got. We got this one. Messy, complicated, painful, but real. Rachel asked me last week if I thought Tom knew she was alive, wherever he is. I think he does now, I told her. I think he's been watching over Lily, keeping her safe all this time. She smiled at that, a real smile that reached her eyes. I'm 63 years old. My husband is gone. My daughter disappeared for 8 years. I have a granddaughter who technically didn't exist until 6 months ago. My life is nothing like I planned, nothing like I dreamed it would be. But every morning, I wake up and hear Lily laughing in the next room. Every evening, I make dinner for 3 instead of 1. Every Sunday, we make pancakes with blueberries. And I'm learning that maybe happiness isn't about getting the life you planned. Maybe it's about finding joy in the life you get, even when it's broken and strange, and held together with hope and determination. Rachel is alive. My daughter came back. And that's a miracle, even if it's a complicated one, even if it hurts as much as it heals. That's enough. It has to be enough. Because it's all we have, and it's more than I ever thought I'd get again. My daughter, home.